although there's going to be some mix-ups here and there because of certain roster situations from what I was able to see. Hopefully it's not the case, but if it does end up like that, it's going to be interesting seeing how they will adapt, because I think both teams really have a lot to show. Particularly, I would say SYN as being the more hyped roster in general, and having a couple of players that a lot of people in the tier 3 scene are trying to watch out for.
Without a doubt, there are a couple of recognizable names in this match. Verdict, Sephiroth, Admirable Potato over on Deathmark, Napoleon over on the side of Sin Eternal Season. There's a couple of other ones. Start with Deathmark, Napoleon. It's Tommy in the top lane, Verdict in the jungle, Sephiroth in the mid lane, Pew Pew at AD carry, and Admirable Potato hanging out there at support. All right, TDS, what do you think are the linchpins of this particular team?
So it's something that we have talked obviously with the Gordo when we had the chance to be able to see Deathmark Napoleon, and it was their mid jungle duo. To us, Sephiroth and Birthday in the mid lane and jungle respectively have been really consistently good, have been two of the linchpins of what this roster has been able to accomplish, and a lot of how their play and success goes through does happen through those two players. That being said, there's good chances that the other players can try and step up when the situation needs it to, but I think that if Deathmark Napoleon wants to succeed, there needs to be success in the mid lane particularly, and then Birdie being able to also have a lot of space to move around as well.
That means it could be a little bit difficult for Sephiroth as you take a look at the roster of the Sin Eternal Season, and he goes up against the Wonderkid. Season of Leaves in the mid lane. It's top lane 101 in the top lane. Munchie the Monster in the jungle. Daption and Al Calamity hanging out on the bot lane.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's a mix-up of really, really strong players that have a lot of potential to keep on climbing up the stairs in the tier 3. Obviously, the focus does have to go to Season of Leaves, a player that has been trying to get even closer to that ACL level, and there's a lot of people putting their eyes on them. And I think this mid lane matchup is going to be exciting precisely because of that. I think Sephiroth has shown up really greatly for Deathmark so far, and I think for Sin Eternal Season of Leaves needs to step it up as well. But without taking anything away as well, I really think Daption and Al Calamity down there in the bot lane are going to make an impact because they're a really strong bot lane as well.
Yeah, definitely one of the stronger bot lanes that we have. I think Daption's role swap has gone over pretty well so far. He was a really solid support. Now he's become a really solid AD carry. I mean, this guy just understands how to play bot lane pretty well. Al Calamity, one of the best young supports that we have here in tier 3, just coming up just short of trying to get into the NACL the NACL qualifier matches.
Yep.
Just came up just short, just a round short after their loss to Lotus. The Syndicate organization actually were the ones to take the loss, so looking to pick themselves up here and continue on in the lower bracket here in ACL Summer. So we're here with picks and bans, TDS, and already we're seeing Lux get taken off the board, a Season of Leaves special. I imagine his specials might be hard to come by in this particular series.
Yeah, it's not going to be something that you would typically see, nor will you get a lot of chances to actually go against unless you're going against Samikin. So more than likely that's going to end up being one of the cases where we see a little bit of focus towards that Season of Leaves mid laner. Now the bans do come through on the other side, the Corki and the Nico taking away two power picks that coming in the first pick can be really bothersome. Same for champions like the Rumble, the Gwen, even the Varus, still to a certain degree. There's still a couple of champions that you can really go for in that first pick that will have a big impact if you let them go. And I think DME is letting go of the bans here, so I do think they are playing with a sub. If they are not having these two first bans, yeah, they're probably playing with a sub right now. And based on what I was able to see from the e-sub request, it was going to be to Pablo, so it's going to be in the top lane to change.
Okay, good to know. So Pablo going to be stepping in for the side of Deathmark and Napoleon. And actually, oftentimes losing the bans, it's not really the biggest problem in the world, especially when you start looking at like, oh, we're actually just picking meta champions. But when you're playing against a guy like Season of Leaves who, jams Lux, Mel, Seraphine, Hui to like his heart's content, even a little bit of Zoe here and there, these bans are actually quite impactful, right? These are picks that aren't really often played by Sephiroth, and we're already seeing some of Sephiroth's picks starting to get pinched a little bit here.
Yeah, already trying to attack a little bit of what Sephiroth can try and pull for, but that does mean that there's a lot more space in the other lanes, and we talked about this first big ramble, really strong blind, you can really play it almost into any matchup, and it can work out efficiently if you're able to play it really well, but then Pantheon is left open, and this is one of those junglers that we have coined as like trifecta of jungling right now, where it's the Pantheon, the Wukong, and the Xin Zhao, pretty much, where you see them almost always in the games. Well, Pantheon more banned than picked, the other two actually picked, and then Trundle getting his head in between occasionally as much as possible. But it's those champions that really seem to run the jungle at this point. And then the Yunara that has also been quite frequently banned away. Since you don't have those two bans, you end up leaving it open. But I think there's choices to try and go against the Yunara, as the Udyr was hovered, and it's not going to get banned, it looks like.
It looks like they will allow that one through. And if that gets into the hands of Verdict, watch out. I mean, this guy is a big Udyr player. You call him an Udyr one trick, but given the fact that this guy's been a really, really great player since 2020, he can play damn near everything. But listen, if you're going to give him his Udyr, he's going to try to make you pay, and you have to play the game so differently against an Udyr TDS.
Yeah, it's going to affect how this is going to go through, but I do like having those sort of, in the same vein that the Lux is kind of a pocket pick for a season, right? Having this Udyr be your pocket pick in case you want to try and bring it out and have a lot of comfort with the champion. It's almost always great to see it as the Jinx hover, the Jinx pick, and there's a champion that I feel like has not been in the most favorable spot, not because she's weak, but because I think that players do not favor her for some reason. And taking away the pick potential from her, I do think that she's a strong champion. The Jinx can find a lot of damage, a lot of value situationally, and has bot lane pairings that can work out really well, as the Ambessa does come through, and now it's going to be on what the mid laners and more than likely the supports are going to try and go for here.
Yeah, it's quite interesting to see the Jinx get picked in a scenario where now you're immediately going to maybe ban out some bot laners if you're Eternal Season. They are going to ban out this Smolder here, so worried about a mid lane Smolder coming through for Zephyroth, and we're on the second half of bans for Deathmark and Napoleon. Looks like they're going to target out this bot lane. They don't want Al Calamity to get going. His Bard has been a champion that he's been good on fairly often.
Yeah, and even attacking a little bit more of the AD carry pool in the mid lane. You were mentioning about how Sephiroth was kind of playing more AD carries for some reason, and the bans do look like they are trying to attempt at stopping him from playing any AD carry in the mid lane if they do pull through with the Tristana here. I do think there's still a couple of mid lane champions that you can pull for, even if they are not the typical AD carries in the mid lane. You can technically play Ezreal. If I'm not wrong, it was Conviction that played it recently in the ACL in the mid lane, so it's not necessarily a pick that I would expect to see, but it's technically an option that can come through. And not a lot of support bans really when you look at the potential bans that could have been on the second round, so that leaves the way open, and more than likely an enchanter or a counter pick potential now for season.
Not quite sure we want to pick here, given we're hovering a lot of different AD carries. And, I just remarked to you before we got on that it appeared that Zephyroth was playing a lot of AD carries recently.
Yeah.
Not in the mid lane, but I am curious to see if that's what he ends up going for here.
Yeah.
It looks like that's going to be the case here. We have two AD carries locked in here for Deathmark Napoleon, and Ezreal can definitely play mid lane. I'm actually quite surprised.
That should be the expectation. Yeah, that should be the expectation, because I do not think we're seeing the Jinx in the mid lane here against the Wave for the first time.
But then we pick Karma and pair it with Jinx. I'm confused.
So yeah, could be a situation where maybe the Jinx actually. No, but with the Karma, this is a perfect pairing for the Ezreal, not for the Karma. This makes more sense. I was expecting maybe something like the Tam Kench, just because the safety that he brings. But without the Alistar here, there will be a great lack of engage on the side of the ME, because it's now mainly on the other. So the Alistar makes a little bit more sense in that department, and it does leave the angle for a counter pick in terms of the engaged supports that you can typically go for. The Rel, the Nautilus, the Leona, like you're seeing. Even maybe something like the Rakan could work out here if you want to have like a bit more in between with the Yunara. But it's the Nautilus at the end of the day, nothing out of the ordinary really.
Yeah, it's got to be the Nautilus, especially when you're dealing with an Ezreal or a Jinx. To having that point and click to be able to knock
Yeah.
them up is so vital, because it makes it so much easier for your Pantheon to follow up, for your Mbessa to follow up as well. You know, publicly executing a CC target is something Mbessa players really love to do. But this Deathmark Napoleon
Yeah.
roster, they're already throwing a curveball at us here, TDS. I have to say, I think it's neat. I don't think it's particularly good here, right? Because you have no CC coming out of your mid laner. You've got the Udyr stun, Jinx Chompers, Alistar combo is your CC. Brother,
Yeah.
that is not guaranteed CC. How is this Rumble supposed to have easy equalizer setups?
Yeah, no, it feels like it's dependent on the Rumble player being able to pull out some great equalizers by himself, because the setup is, like you're mentioning, Alistar, a tiny bit of the Udyr and a tiny bit of the Jinx, and then whatever else happens. For damage, though, I do think that they have a good mix-up between the damage that they are going to be able to deal with physical and magical damage. And another thing that may be really important here, it's going to be that poke potential, where with the Ezreal now, you're going to be able to, at the very least, to bring some of these champions a little bit lower in general, and then the Rumble Equalizer from a safe distance can also just burn them down. So there's like ways of playing from a safe distance that can enable DME, but like you're mentioning, there's going to be a lot of things that need to come together for it to work out effectively, because depending solely on the Alistar engage to make a team fight happen is not always the best way to try and win the game.
Couldn't agree more, TDS. And keep in mind, we have Pablo instead of Tommy up in the top lane for Deathmark Napoleon. A couple of notes about Pablo is that he didn't really play in 2024 at all. He his last appearance in 2023 was in the ACL fall over on Akuma, where he split time with Prank up in the top lane. He did have a couple of appearances here in 2025 in the Split 1 and Split 2 qualifiers for the NACL. On Nova Spear Gaming, where in the first one he split time with the Slam Boy, and then the second one, top lane was all his. The Slam Boy went to AD carry, and they went had a pretty decent run for themselves. Knocked out in the fourth round. That means you came in and you won a couple series, you lost a couple series, but you were not a two and done.
Yeah, at the very least, you had a little bit more opportunity to play there, and I do think that it's interesting that they have to pull off a sub here in this situation. I will say, for what Deathmark Napoleon has been, probably it's not the worst in the world that it's their top laner, the one that ends up being ace out. That being said, I do think I have liked the progression that they had originally with their top laner. Tommy actually didn't look that bad, or didn't look bad at all, better said. Like, he actually was coming in together really well and was having a really nice progression. But in this situation, I think that for what the rest of the team probably likes to play with, having the other four members here, it's going to be more ideal to try and keep up the way that Deathmark has been wanting to play and has been trying to play. Also important, because we need to remember this is an elimination series, so whoever loses the series today is out.
Yep, you got a best of 3, and you don't know what's happening tomorrow, right? You don't know if by the end of this you're in, you're out. It's going to be very worrisome, especially if you're Deathmark Napoleon. Now, Deathmark Napoleon, they are the higher seed, right? They came in as the 12 seed compared to a SYN Eternal Season, but you just take a look at least on name value here. SYN Eternal Season certainly has the edge and certainly shouldn't be treated like a team that is a 14th seed, right? This is a team that we know can achieve a little bit more than what we've seen so far. And taking a look at the playoff bracket here, they did have a pretty tough go at it. The first time around, the first round, they took a 2-0 loss to CCG, right? There's no shame in that. CCG is a really, really excellent team. And we expected SYN Eternal Season to really make their lower bracket run. A 2-0 win over Mint Gaming. They take a win over Deathmark Napoleon here. They'll play the winner of Lotus and Milk Esports, and that is where they could run into trouble, TDS. But obviously, you can't get ahead of it. But both of these teams, they have a lot of really good teams to go through if they want to make a Cinderella run. A lot of these players are going to have to level up or really play at their peaks.
Yeah, like already technically speaking, the teams that are remaining here are extremely strong. Like we are having matches between the number 6 and number 4th seed already here, just because we're so deep already into the tournament, and it's difficult to really not see a strong team going against you. Even if you're a low seed, you're going to be facing really strong teams just in general, because of how difficult it's going to be. Also, just quickly want to mention, because apparently it's not going to be separate in the mid lane, it's going to be separate. So I'm assuming
Oh,
it's
it's
your separate, if I'm
Zipri.
wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes so much sense that he's playing 80 carries mid lane.
Yeah. That actually changes a lot. But then does that not actually, I'm gonna quickly watch this because I am not really good in terms of the so he is part of his top team, so they don't lose bans because of Separate here. But it does mean that Separate will not be the one playing, which does change up a lot of things. does change up a bit of the way that they've been trying to play, or the way that they will probably try and play. I do think though that Separate is still a really good player, so I don't think mechanically they're going to suffer, but it does affect dynamics in the team.
Yeah, I do think it makes, obviously, this is a lot better. This explains why the Smolder was banned out. He's played quite a bit of it in ranked, so I was a little curious as to, it's like, oh, we're banning out Smolder mid here, but Sir Zipri is a guy who does both, right? He plays both AD carry and mid. He's been successful in both roles. It's a guy that I've had some opportunity to cover over time, especially with his time on the UTechtics with the University of Health and Sciences in St. Louis. He's still over there, and he's a regular NECC competitor. Team actually did pretty well in the C-Law Championship, made a top 8. He's playing 80 carry over there, yielding mid lane to Evra. But I mean, this is a guy who has been very good in both roles. So again, not too big of a surprise to see him pull out an 80 carry. However, again, I think it just hurts the team a lot, TDS. So like, what's the success here for Deathmark Napoleon? What do they need to do in order to come away with this victory with the team comp that they have?
So I kind of feel like you have to play for the Jinx and the Ezreal to succeed as much as possible. So you can send like a couple of ganks into the mid lane and then focus all your energy into the bot side, so that you can put Daption down and then give Pew Pew the opportunity to really scale into the Jinx power spike that we have seen before. Because the Rumble, yes, it's a strong champion that you can play for, and that the more you give resources, the better you're going to have the opportunity to make use of the equalizer. But I think that this game for the Rumble is going to be just that, an equalizing champion. A champion that you play with your ultimate and for his stat value. But the carries, the 80 carries, need to be the ones that really get all the focus, so that they can spike up and be really strong for the late stages of the game.
Couldn't agree more. And that does mean that it is important for SYN Eternal Season to kind of set them behind early, and they should be able to. Right? Pew Pew is going to be under a lot of fire this game with Pantheon and Bessa and this Nautilus bearing down. It is going to take some time for Yunara to scale up, but you've got a lot of early power in your top side. And as long as you have Season of Leaves there, softening some people up, softening up this Rumble, this Udyr and this Alistar, and not getting engaged on and causing problems, throwing speed bumps for them with all of Hui's different abilities, I think you're in really good shape, and he can really control a lot of the zones in these team fights, make it much easier for his team to win the game.
Yeah, it should be really a contest of what both AD carries are going to be able to accomplish here. I would think that a lot of people would favor more the Daption Calamity bot lane, just because they are technically quote unquote a more known bot lane in what they would be able to show and what they will be able to attempt. But I think Pew Pew and Marble Potato have been really good as well in what they've been showcasing, and if they can step it up here, maybe they can pull off a surprise. Especially for DME, if they are able to pull off a big surprise here with 2 subs, not their main roster, would be kind of great for them, would be amazing to see, and also sets them up really well in their future matches, which it's tomorrow technically.
Here we go, TDS, game 1 of this best of 3 do or die series between SYN Eternal Season and Deathmark Napoleon. We're seeing some early aggressive warding coming out. Verdict is going to return the favor. over to Munchie, so gonna have perfect information of where these junglers are starting. I'm interested to see if either of them will throw a wrench into their clears, or if we're just gonna see both of these junglers kind of hang out until level 6 onward. It is something that Udyr likes to do at times, just kind of farm up and get big. And meanwhile, Pantheon's name of the game is just hit 6.
Yeah, Pantheon gives you a little bit more angle to actually be able to gank early on just because of his point and click CC. But like you're mentioning, Udyr gives you that leeway of either going for ganking or just waiting it out a little bit more and trying to get progressively stronger with each item he gets. Now,
oh, an accidental barrier burned there by Dabshin, it looks like. And all right, great job of Pew Pew and Admirable Potato getting a summoner out.
That is a great mind control right there. You have to give the props to them in how they played it up, and surprised that it went off like that. And Alkalamity and Daption trying to gain control of the lane anyway. They will reach level 2 much quicker because of how the wave is pushing in anyway. So they still are going to get a good lead in this position, actually taking a lot of damage onto both Pew Pew and Admirable Potato. But losing that barrier probably going to hurt if you get ganked really early on.
Yeah, now the good news is that with Jinx having Ghost, it's not like you're really down a combat summoner or anything like that. Yeah. But, you know, still losing your own is very frustrating, especially in that manner. Both of these junglers, very aware of what's going on here. Udyr always going to be just a half step ahead of this Pantheon with this clear speed.
Yeah, the great time of being able to play the Udyr does mean that you're going to be rushing the jungle really well. Similar to playing the Lilia or champions like that can just run around the jungle really quickly. I was also going to try and mention quickly, as we saw the bot lane before, but we're probably going to pan in soon enough. It's going to be Alkalamity taking a little bit more of a defensive route or a defensive rune with the Aftershock, where Admirable Potato is taking the Unsealed Spellbook. So you're going to see more opportunities for them to play with a teleport and other summoners compared to Alkalamity that is a little bit more aggressive in the bot lane.
Yeah, and I think that's just because Alistar has a lot of inherent bulk in him once he hits level 6 with the Unbreakable Will. And, you know, Norlis is a champion that, you know, kind of needs that extra little bit, especially against the double AD carries that Deathmark and Napoleon are going to be staring you down on. We're seeing some movement happen here. One of the monsters going to flash, and the flash hook from Alkalamity, but a double knockup from Admirable Potato keeps him alive, and now it's Verdict looking to run down the rest of the squad. Pew Pew is Pew Pewing right now, focusing on Alkalamity. Sir Zipri shifting forward, looking to land these Qs, and it's first one for Verdict, and now Dabshin's going to be the next target. They're going to focus out Alkalamity for a little bit. Severing Bull gets the kill. Season of Leaves from downtown with the fear on top of it, evens up the kill score. Or does he? As Sir Zipri once more, he's ready. Season of Leaves is so low. Dabshin is low too. Zipri shifting forward, looking around, weaving these spells, but will be denied.
How are they alive? Zipri is there trying to artillery them to hell, but they are not able to close out on some of those kills, and it's going to be only a 1-for-1 at the end of the day. Really good snipe there by Zipri, and the kill, importantly, one goes to the Udyr, which it's not a bad news actually. Like Udyr getting ahead, it can work out.
Munchie up top. Immediately coming back and trying to make a play onto Pablo, and they will be able to do so. Munchie's gonna get credit for that kill, and going coast to coast is the jungler from SYN Eternal Season.
Yeah, not wasting any time at all. Really, oh, that's unlucky. Not wasting any time at all. They are really nice play that they are able to pull off. Verdict is going to get collapsed in here because there's multiple members who can teleport on the
wisely waiting. Yeah, and that teleport came through. So now Sir Zeepri's got to try to get his buddy Verdict out of there. Admirable Potato is on the way, but Verdict is taking way too much damage. He gets hooked and he goes down. Feet of Warfare going over to Eternal Season as Munchie the Monster's been everywhere.
Yeah, really good collapses multiple times here by Season. Really good play they pulled off in the bot lane, getting the 1-for-1 into immediately moving topside so that Munchie can try and get that sort of advantage as well. And I like the way that they play with that teleport. Not committing immediately into the teleport top lane means that they have a little bit more leeway to try and wait it out and see who is going to get just stuck there and get a collapse done, as Pablo may need to flash here.
Yeah, he's in trouble as Alkalamity is also going absolutely everywhere. Pablo is forced to flash away. Verdict coming through, just trying to quell the offense of Eternal Season, but now he gets turned on. He's got a big enough shield to be able to walk away.
Yeah, and for having the potential of changing summoners and actually having the potential to move around the map, it's Alkalamity just getting the better out of Admirable Potato, having more impact all around, and Dabshin should be fine here. Unless... Nah, he's fine. Nothing really out of the ordinary there. Yeah.
Things have calmed down just a little bit here. TDS is, you know, it's kind of easy to say, especially for how breakneck the pace has been for this game so far. I mean, 4 kills in 6.5 minutes is quite a bit. We do have a dragon available on the map for the taking. It is a Hextech dragon, so whichever team decides they want it might be able to muscle their way over to it. Eternal Season having a bit of an item advantage here. But if you are on the side of Eternal Season, you might be setting your sights on the grubs, because giving those away to an Udyr and 280 carries, very worrisome. So Al Calamity, speaking of worrisome, is getting mired in the muck right now. Actually able to trade back, but here comes Verdict, and he's going to come running. Al Calamity says, I want in, because Munchie the monster shows up again, but Pew Pew is going to be able to get excited to run away. But Verdict, once more, his greed could go punished as Munchie continues to look to run him down. He's got double buffs too, which means he can get close. Super Mega Death Rocket doing good damage. Severing Bolt dodged out on, and Deathmark and Napoleon make a play safely.
That was a situation where if Daption walked just a little bit closer to the Pantheon there, could have been killed by the Super Mega Death Rocket. But it's a 1-for-0 at the end of the day. Pew Pew doesn't even use a summoner to try and escape in that situation, and getting the Jinx in a situation where, yes, she's not getting the kills, but she's getting this gold value really effectively. Also, Birdie getting ahead in a really good manner because he's getting the levels, he's getting the gold, he's ahead of the Pantheon even just by a tiny little bit of a margin. That's still really good for them, and they are making it work out really effectively. The gold lead is Birdie 200 gold, 300 gold at this point of the game. They may want to fight for the grubs like you were mentioning before, Jenny.
Oh my god, everybody's here. Yeah, I mean, they're trying to shut down Munchie here because he's still not level 6, as you said. And that ended up being the big difference maker in that fight, not having that ultimate that grants Skyfall to come in and try to turn things around. Big triple knock from Admirable Potato, laid on a bed of equalizer, and Deathmark Napoleon living up to their name because Eternal Season is marked for death, and the grubs should be started.
The grubs are going to get started, and Admirable Potato also starting that fight in that situation. He just yelled, screw the birds, he just wanted the kills, and such a good engage. Also thinking about Season of Lives not having any flash at that position, Al Calamity not wanting to commit his when he was already dead, and then Munchie having to flash once again. So now not having a flash for a potential engage here or a potential attempt. Oh, Pew Pew.
Oh, huge choppers there by Pew Pew. They did burn his ghost, but being safe on the other side, a failed play from Eternal Season.
Yeah, and Flash is still available, so they just get much more value out of this. Maybe the only play that they could look for on Season would be to try and go for the Dragon in this position, since it is still available and there's 3 members down there. But already quickly reacting on the side of DME means that they are not going to allow for a Dragon to be started just like that as Daption. Needs to be careful a little bit on the side.
Yeah, got to worry about Admirable Potato because he's starting to make plays now. He's hit a lot of good headbutt pulverize combos, knocking up multiple members, turning around some of these fights. So we're getting to the 10-minute mark as Deathmark Napoleon has about a 500 gold lead as Verdict has really come alive in this game. His Udyr, so feared on the solo queue ladder. They gave it over to him. The disrespect could be the downfall of Eternal Season, but there is still a lot of game left to go, TDS.
It really could be the difference maker, but like you're mentioning, only 10 minutes in, barely at 600, not even close to 1,000 gold lead in favor of the side of DME. That means that there's still plenty of chances for the side of Season to really pull it off. And I think come mid-game, they're going to be in a really strong point to try and force fights or try and go for better objective setups for themselves. The Dragon, though, still completely unnoticed. Nobody wants to get that first Dragon going, and that does mean that the Soul, if there ever is an attempt at fighting for it, is going to be really, really late in this game.
Yeah, and that's really bad for Eternal Season. This is really good for Deathmark Napoleon because these guys want to do nothing but scale. You've got a Jinx, you've got an Ezreal. It's okay for the game to go a little bit later. And we're on the side of Eternal Season. It's just the Unara, right? This Pantheon, his effectiveness is going to wane as the game goes on. He's going to be more of a stun bot. He's a little bit better than he's been in the past in terms of fighting in the late game, but he's still one of those champions that you'd rather have him strong early than on par late.
Yeah, you really don't want to try and play for the later stages. They were fighting, but top lane is always like this, right? Never really a kill, more so just trying to get you as low as possible. There is a little bit of a... There is an attempt down there in the bot lane, though. They are looking at the dragon now. Sephiroth's on the side. There's also the Alistar. Verdict is coming as well. There may be a little bit of an engage attempt here as Daption.
Knock up on the side, but Daption's still okay. Here comes the teleport from this Ambessa, looking to get into the fight here. Has that public execution ready to go. Season of Leaves a little low. Root going down onto top lane 101. He has to target the Udyr, who dies with a 4-man knockup. Sir Z3 and Pew Pew looking to make plays. To Pablo flashing forward, trying to get as many kills as he can. But Daption staying alive, hanging tough in this fight. Barrier used, getting some shielding from Season of Leaves. But the health bars are just so low on Eternal Season. Flashing forward to Pablo, slowing him up, getting the auto. Daption gets it done. Sir Z3 still looking for some poke on the side, but Eternal Season win the fight, TDS.
There is Super Mega Death Rocket plus the ultimate from the Ezreal as well. This could be a couple kill for Pew Pew. He hits it perfectly.
Fire the rocket, Pew Pew. Hit him, Pew Pew. You know where he's at. There goes. Ooh.
Thinking they moved a little bit back, a little bit more back down there, but it's not going to be another kill for the side of DME. It is a pretty close fight there. Season finding a really good angle to engage onto Verdict, to Pablo right very late, and crucially, there was no equalizer. They had the equalizer used in the top lane to push the wave. Without that ultimate, you really lose a lot of value out of the Rumble, and it really ended up being a difference maker, because with how low so many members were, an equalizer in that position would have been dead. As they are going to fight again.
It was going to be so good, TDS. This dragon has been started up by Verdict, and that means Admirable Potato is going to take the brunt of the bad news. Verdict will be able to swipe away the dragon. And the question is, how fast can the cow run? And he goes down with the ship. It will be a traded objective for your support's life. Daption getting a second.
Yeah, they always trade the animal, never leaving the other ones for sacrificing themselves. And Potato dies there, but they do get the first dragon. That being said, it's such a late dragon that I'm not sure how much of an impact that is going to end up having, as Pew Pew may be dead here immediately.
I'm going for the full dive here, and Verdict has a hard time stopping this. Ezreal not going to do a whole lot of damage, but Calamity is just burning in Verdict's lair right now. Admirable Potato with the knock-up is Daption. When Daption killed, and they turn it around. Munchie is now stuck here. Sir Z3 needs to start walking down so Munchie doesn't just walk away here. Headbutt pulverize. Verdict is going to get enough shielding. Will be able to kill Munchie. And this Udyr is a massive, TDS.
6-2-2 Udyr at this point of the game. That's going to be a big difference maker, as Z3 taking quite a bit of a trade there, actually dealing a lot of damage, but has to be careful here.
Oh, Season. So watch out. Big knock-up. And Season is dead.
And another one for the big man screaming around you with 4 different animals running around your face. Verdict is really strong. Oh, he may die though.
Oh, we want to pick a fight with the 7-2 Udyr. Okay. Here comes top lane 1-on-1 with the public execution, but he gets knocked away. Admirable Potato just playing bodyguard, using his ultimate, trying to stay upright, but there's going to be too much damage coming out. Top lane 101 will get his second kill of the game.
Yeah, a good enough sacrifice. Once again, there is a 7-2 Udyr. You don't want to give up that shutdown to either Daption or top lane 101. You want to keep that up at the very least for a little bit longer, as both laners trading places, so Pablo not going bot side, more than likely taking down the turret, and then Pew Pew just going to be comfortably farming for here. The Herald is going to spawn really soon, so that's going to be probably the objective that they are going to try and play around with, in case they think that that's going to be worth it. Pew Pew has ulti.
Rift Herald up, Verdict says, I'm going to it, as Calamity is just a little too low right now. But it looks like...
try and go for Pew Pew.
Yeah, they're going to have to at least try, but again, he gets tagged. Super Mega Death Rocket is available. It's going to get fired and blocked by Munchie. But this does mean that there will not be any contest for this Herald. I will go over to the team that has 3 grubs, a scary prospect, TDS.
Yeah, really good angle they were looking for there to try and contest it, but like you're mentioning, the vision was really good, and now 3 grub plus Herald should be turret taking potential here really effectively for the side of DME, and they have really strong members. You mentioned this before as well, Yanni. Really strong members to take down turrets. Double AD carry plus an Udyr, and also overheated Rumble deals quite a bit of damage to these structures, so they can take down these turrets really quickly if they are left alone to try and take them down.
It's getting tougher and tougher right now for SYN Eternal Season. Remember, they do have good scaling. We talked about how Daption's scaling is going to come up huge. Hui later on in the game can do a little bit of damage. Ambessa is a side lane monster, but against these two AD carries, Ezreal, once he hits his 2-item spike, is just incredibly strong. Jinx going to get online a little bit later. You know, is still not really doing too much in the AD carry department. You'd like a lot of these kills that are on Verdict to be on your Ezreal, to be on your Jinx, but as long as Verdict can be a good bridge for them, which it looks like he's built with a bunch of titanium, TDS, it shouldn't matter in the end.
Yeah, he is quite strong. 2 items already completed. Oh, lives. May need to run away quickly here. Oof.
He is forced to flash away, and he will be able to surprisingly escape.
Pantheon ult.
Yeah, they got Pantheon ult now too, so they won a piece of this, but nobody's really there. Season Believes has thrown everything at Verdict, and he just shrugs it off.
They threw a lot into the sink there to try and get on top of the Ovier, and he just locked it up, run away, and nothing ended up happening. Pablo may have a much more difficult time here going against top lane 101, considering how strong the Ambessa is at this point of the game. But like we mentioned in draft, he is just an equalizing champion. He's here to push waves and then have equalizer for the fight. That's it. The rest of the members need to respond accordingly, and Pew Pew having an item completed already, the Ezreals Separate having an item completed already, that's where you're looking for the team fights to work out. Although, next objective is Dragon, I'm not sure if they are going to try and fight for it. 15 seconds, and it's only the second Dragon of the game.
Yeah, at this point, TDS, it feels like Deathmark Napoleon should just use that Dragon as leverage to force a fight somewhere and start a fight. You know, their fight starting tools are a little telegraphed, right? It's just admirable potato. We did talk about how it's a little hard for them to really layer some of their abilities together to have successful fights, but SYN Eternal Season has given them the opportunity to, you know, take fights that are really good for Deathmark Napoleon. So we'll see if there's going to be more of those as Pablo shoves off top lane 101. The Rift Herald is going to get used in the mid lane, trying to get some of this river pressure back.
Yeah, that probably should be close to the first. Yeah, it's the turret actually down in the mid lane, opens up quite a good amount of space here. They also will get control back from the Reaver. That means that if they want to try and fight for this Dragon, they will have the upper hand in this. Once again, though, we need to remember that fight that happened earlier in the bottom side Reaver as well. There was a 5v5, but there was no equalizer. Same story here for Pablo. They have to wait a little bit longer before the Rumble has that ultimate, so I think that DME will try and play around that this time around and not force a fight without having that equalizer. Separate may get collapsed on here, but he's quickly.
Yeah, it's just so hard to catch an Ezreal. He's got Arcane Shift. He still has his flash available. SYN has put himself in really good positions to be successful in this game. Good damage coming out from the Ezreals. The Dragon has been started up. A Verdict now stepping all the way up. These 2 levels up. Here comes the teleport. Pew Pew can get targeted out. Admirable Potato trying to save him, but isn't able to. Top lane 101 is starting to tear it up in the back line. Here comes the equalizer trying to split the fight. Calamity will fall, but so will Verdict. Daption with a flash of the barrier. He's still alive, and he takes over the fight. And SYN is the last one standing with a lot of low health bars, but top lane 101 in his face, forcing him to flash away as SYN Eternal Season takes the fight of the Drake.
Yeah, they get the teamfight win there, and it's all on the back of killing Pew Pew so early on, and it's a huge blunder by Pew Pew there, not understanding that there was no Nautilus showing. The members were still coming there, and really questionable decision making by DME to not really take that fight as slowly as possible. You have the double AD carry, you know that you can just play it up in the long run as well, and they just decided to opt into a situation where Pew Pew just dies like that and ends up paying the price with his life and also with the Dragon going the way of SYN. Luckily, it's just the second Dragon of the game. Really doesn't make that big of a difference, especially if now you can stack like 3 Infernal Dragons in your favor. But the game at this point just feels much more much closer in how both of these teams want to try and fight it and who can try and take the better advantage out of it.
Yeah, you're giving a lot of power over to Eternal Season with these kills. Here comes the Pantheon ultimate. They're going in on Admirable Potato. He will fall, but here comes the turnaround. His Verdict is here. Flashing away is Munchie. Teleport coming in on the backside. That's Ambessa. Munchie will finally fall, but they're looking to turn it around on the Verdict, and they will be able to find him with the Spiraling Despair. Top lane 101 over on the side, trying to deal with the double AD carries, but they're too strong. They're too strong, TDS. Ezreal coming through the equalizer on top of it, as Calamity will burn and burn, and he's still
blocked.
alive somehow. But this does mean Otacon, which is already down to half HP, being continued here by Deathmark Napoleon. Now it's up to Dabshin to full out Season of Leaves as the Pablo got caught and he goes down. Dabshin tanking up this Otacon. Z3 once in, doing good damage. There's the grasping ball. Good damage coming out. Season of Leaves putting on a show on this way. Z3 shifting over right into a Q, and the Otacon never reset, and it will be secured by SYN Eternal Season.
Wait. But Marvel Potato had smite on the and sealed spellbook there, but wasn't able to get on time there just enough to be able to get the Atacant in that position. But once again, a lot of question marks coming in from DM's team fight there. A lot of mispositioning, waiting way too long before they actually force a fight. And in comparison, Season just being much better cohesively as a team, playing around it so much better in how they wanted to, and understanding that this is a power point for them to actually play the game. They can actually force fights in this situation because they are strong with the way hitting 2 items. The Yunara 2.5 items as well, really strong. The Ambessa having more impact when she reaches the backline as well. And then to Pablo with no flash, he's an equalizer bot. If he doesn't have equalizer, he's not really going to be as effective, and he gets picked up really consistently in some of these fights. The gold lead is still not that big that it matters, and Atacant realistically, it's a super overvalued buff, not actually having the impact that a lot of people say it has, but it's something that you still get if you're able to utilize it to its fullest. Oh, Season of Leaves.
Oh, yeah. Season getting picked off here is bad news. Munchie coming to help out his buddy. Spiraling Despair goes wide. Now we're going to see a fight over near the mid lane as CC was layered. We talked about Al Calamity's depth charge and top lane 101's combo finding the jinx, and it comes to fruition.
Yeah, but it's again another situation. Pew Pew is not respecting.
Wait, a second. Yeah. They're just blowing everybody up. What a play from Eternal Season. They've taken full control of this game, TDS.
Yeah, the game now is completely out of control for the side of DME. Oh, wait, this could be bad though.
Oh, Ezreal does so much damage, but Sir Z3 is stuck in a 3-on-1 trying to turn it around, but he can't land the Qs. He's an NA Ezreal. He's not hitting these Qs that kill these targets.
Maybe Pew Pew finally hits it. He has the Super Mega Death Rocket here. This could be a position if he actually hits it.
Here we go. It's on the way, but it looks like it's going to split the uprights, and it's good.
Yeah, that was disappointing. That was a disappointing Super Mega Death Rocket. But Cypre has the Qs here to be able to hit people. The problem is that he has the NA aim, like you were mentioning, and it's not getting a lot of those kills that could have turned around the situation. That was such a good angle for DME to finally get a team fight in their favor. But going back a little bit more, Pew Pew with a really bad positioning ends up getting caught once again. And also this highlights a problem that this composition from DME has. There's no protection for the AD carries. Ezreal can play by himself because it's an Ezreal. He can just arcane shift and that's fine. But Pew Pew needs perfect positioning because if he gets picked up by top lane 101, by Calamity, by Munchie the Monster, more than likely the Jinx is dead.
Yeah, and it's so hard against an Ambessa because in order to protect yourself, you need to be in front of your carry. And here we go. People are going to get targeted out again. But Al Calamity, oh, he hooked him, and his top laner's ult missed because of that.
Yeah, that silly is really blunder. Ooh.
Well, this does mean that Pew Pew is low. Dabshin is going to transcend himself, looking for some good damage. And full control here for Eternal Season. They can start this dragon whatever they want. Yeah.
Exactly. It's a lot of control that they have at this point. It's really difficult. Cypre does not feel any fear trying to arcane shift forward there, but doesn't have control of the dragon, doesn't have control of the area to try and fight for the dragon. I feel like DME at this point probably should just take a backseat, wait the next 5 minutes, give Jinx another item, and try and fight around that timing. Because they are trying to force way too heavily on timings that are not that beneficial as... Oh, close.
We are inverted. We are inverted, yeah. TDS. They're on the wrong side of the map. Sir Z3 is shifting away to a map that is not his. Verdict flashes deeper into enemy territory, and Z3 will be taken down by top lane 101. Pablo will flash over the wall. Al Calamity hits another hook, but he's immediately denied. But here comes Pantheon over the top. Pew Pew and Pablo have run out of the space. The potato is getting peeled as he falls too. That is an ace for Eternal Season. That is a Baron for Eternal Season.
Yeah, pretty comfortable ace, and that's going to be the Baron buff going in the favor of SYN. And to be honest with you, I do not think this is like this is DME losing out because they are having the substitutes or anything like that. They are just misplacing themselves in so many situations. Like, they are walking blindly into places they shouldn't be. They are getting caught out of position really badly. Zephyr having the arcane shift available in certain situations, using it aggressively instead of defensively, and it's paying the price with his life because of that. And at the end, they're just getting caught up in positions that they should not have ever been at, and really SYN taking better advantage out of that. Look at that 7-1 Yunara, 7-4 Pantheon, 5-3 Wei. Like, these are really strong champions at this point. Also, sorry, 6-1 Mbessa. Like, you're giving way too much value to champions that if they get ahead, they can just run the game over.
And running the game over, they are at TDS. It was 2 poor fights with Deathmark and Napoleon. Were in a winning position that have put them behind, and ever since then, SYN Eternal Season has not stopped. And they are so strong on so many of their key members right now. They're looking to make a play on the Season of Leaves. The rest of the squad is not around him, and they immediately blow him up. The Spiraling Despair is going to do good damage, though. And here comes Daption, and now Calamity, and Daption hits hard. Sir Zephyr once again on the wrong side of the map, and on the wrong side of history, as he goes down to top lane 101, is chunking, is slicing this Alistar. 100% pure Angus beef, sliced just the way you like it. As SYN Eternal Season starts their push.
Not gonna lie, I can actually envision Mbessa as one of the champions that would probably really like to eat Alistar. Just based on what she actually like the aura that she has. Yes, that's probably the way
she likes red wine, and red wine pairs really well with steak.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense actually, and based on the previous skill, probably Mbessa would agree, as they are pushing the bot lane, they are going to take down the inhibitor, nothing really much out of it, but the control is so much in favor of SYN here that it's really you have to question what the side of DME can try and find. They can try and wait out the game a little bit longer so that the Jinx can get the items, but we're at a point in the game now where really there's no good way to find that angle, because you can just get engaged on immediately by Calamity, by Munchie, or by top lane 101, and they're just going to kill you in the process.
Yeah, it's just so hard for them to come back here, especially with their comp, right? Their comp says, we're going to run at you. Well, you're running at a Fed Ambessa, a Pantheon that has all this damage, a Yunara who can stay in the back because you need to focus all these threats. I mean, there are so many threats over on SYN Eternal Season that it's just so hard for them to actually get to Season, to Daption. And TDS, it's as long as SYN Eternal Season doesn't make a critical mistake, they should be winning game 1.
It really feels like there's not that much that the side of DME has in their favor to be able to pull it off. There is always human mistake that you have to take into account. But if DME can just, like, if SYN can just play it off accordingly how we typically see.
Oh, pew pew!
Like this,
like this. Goodness me! Oh my goodness! I didn't see that. Was one of the deleted scenes in Arcane, I guess. And here's the double knockup, and here is the finish. SYN Eternal Season, 3 kills, losing nobody, taking out another turret, another inhibitor. Just waiting for minions to pour into the base. Pantheon ultimate. We're going super deep here on top of the Ezreal. They find him too. Munchie says, yeah, I'll give my life. No big deal. They will get the ace once the Pablo goes out of gold. And SYN Eternal Season in just about 30 minutes take game 1.
Yeah, maybe on the dot, 30-1, almost on the dot there.
Unlucky.
But still such a really good game coming in by SYN. Particularly, I would say after the 15-minute mark, they really found their groove and got really good angles to make the game, to take the game in their way. Because it was really close, actually. Like, for a lot of the game, they were going tit for tat. You can see the gold graph. Like, there was a one moment it was SYN, then it went back into the favor of the side of DME. And I think they were playing really smartly in some situations. But the dragon fights, particularly playing around bot side, it really destroyed any opportunity for the side of DME because they were consistently losing out on the Jinx. And you can see on the damage graph, Jinx doing almost as much damage as the Nautilus this game. You cannot have your AD carry do that. Yeah,
no, absolutely not. You're not going to win a lot of games if that happens. TDS,
not at all.
who do you think is your MVP for the game? My MVP personally, I think it's got to be Daption. I think a lot of players on Sin Eternal season made some good plays. You know, big
Fair.
shouts to Munchie and Al Calamity. But Daption was the one who played consistently well from the start. I think the worst thing he did all game was accidentally pop barrier at level 1.
That was hilarious to see. I was thinking to Pablo maybe, but I like Daption. I think a good enough shout there. To Pablo played really, really well. Or sorry, Daption played really, really well. Having a consistent game all around, like you're mentioning. Also, I think only died once in the whole game. After that, a lot of damage, most damage in the game, even above Sir Sepre here, playing an Estriel as well. So huge props to Daption. I think really great performance to try and cement himself in how he needs to be playing for the bot lane on the side of SYN.
And before we go ahead and take our break, we want to shout out Zen Market, your one-stop solution for buying products directly from Japan. They'll help you buy items from over 10,000 shops in Japan, as well as place bids on auctions on your behalf. They'll even consolidate all of your items safely into one box and will ship internationally. They provide excellent customer service in 19 languages, and with good work like that, I guess that's why Zen Market is trusted by over 2 million users worldwide. I guess that's where the 19 languages really comes in TDS. If you check the panel below the stream or click on the link in the chat, you can try them out now. Signing up with promo code Aegis will get you 1,000 yen off your first international shipping fee. Please don't make me do the conversion. I don't know off the top of my head. And if you decide to make a purchase on Zen Market, using code Aegis25 will get you 25% off your first purchase. Welcome back, everybody, to some ACL action here on the Aegis Esports Twitch channel. Yanni and TDS still giving you all the action in a game one that was admittedly not super clean, as Deathmark Napoleon looked like they were going to run over the game behind the power of Verdict's Udyr, but a couple of missed opportunities in fights resulted in Sinister Season taking control, and they never looked back, TDS. And now it feels like Deathmark Napoleon, with that Udyr pick for Verdict, may have fired their best shot.
Yeah, that was one of the best chances that they had in a lot of those situations, and they did a good job. I think Deathmark played well for, once again, like the first 15 to 18 minutes of the game. I think they had a really good idea of what they wanted to try and do. Sir Separate was online, Verdict was online as well, and it felt like they were trying to find the right picks at the right timings, but then it kind of just broke over in a lot of pieces, and then you saw how Pew Pew was dying left and right, how everyone was just getting out of position, and everything kind of exploded on its own. And importantly, this was also a game that was lost with power picks in mind, right? Like Verdict's Udyr is a quote-unquote power pick for himself, now taking off the map, losing a game, and having to go into the next phase knowing that that's going to just be permanently banned, probably affects a little bit of the dynamics that a couple of these players are going to be facing. But there's still a lot of options that they can try and go for.
Let out TDS. I do wonder if they're going to go with another double 80 carry comp that we saw in game one, where we had the Ezreal and the Jinx. I think the Ezreal was generally pretty good. The problem is, as everybody else got really strong on the side of Eternal Season, it just made it so hard for this Ezreal pick to really operate. Yeah,
it's like, and it's also one of those situations that when you don't have any sort of hard to see, like you were mentioning as well during the game, right? When you don't have that hard to see, you have to connect all your abilities. Like, you legitimately cannot fail on your skill shots because that's taking out so much of your power, and you have to be on point with it. And the problem for the Ezreal this game, or the previous game, was that he was sadly not being able to connect a lot of the situations. Like, we saw a lot of fights that they were below 20% health bar, but they weren't able to connect the last skill shot, and they weren't able to close down on those kills. Maybe having a little bit more point and click damage could end up working out much better. Maybe we actually see the Cersei Prey smolder in the mid lane, that you don't need to connect skill shots, you just need to auto attack and you win. So probably going to be a much better choice going into that, but it's going to be same sites for both, and first ban and only ban for DME because they still have double bans taken away from them.
Yeah, one thing to note is Tommy is back in the top lane.
Yep.
So him taking over for it's a Pablo. Oh,
if Tommy's back, then they can play. They can ban. I actually didn't notice that. It's okay, perfect.
Okay, good. All right. Yeah, it doesn't look like they're gonna skip out on these bans, which does mean that more bans could be levied at Season. You know, Season in that last game did very well on the way, was a little muted early on, but later on you really felt his presence come through. Obviously, you're not going to ban the Hwei here because it's already Fearless ban, but now that means you get target that Lux, that Mel. If you target out that Seraphine, now he's going down to like Zoe as an example. So he does run deep in his pool, but it means he's got to pick it early.
Yeah, there is a couple of options that he can still go. I think if you want to go for the safer options as well, Orianna, the Everlasting Champion, is also available. If you want to try and take it away from Season and play it yourself on the side of the ME, that can be an option. But like you're mentioning, now that you actually need to see the threat of the pools that are going to be hit with this next two bans, that's something that Season now have to consider as well. As the Trundle does get taken away, two junglers were already out, makes sense that the Trundle is the next objective. Wukong as well out. It feels like Xin Zhao probably rising up a little bit more now in priority with these two champions out from bans, and then the Pantheon also out because of the Fearless ban away.
Yeah, without a doubt. So we'll see what the options are. You know, Jarvan gonna look really good after this Varus lock-in. We know that Jarvan is so good against champions that don't have ways to escape the Cataclysm. So if you burn this Varus flash, he will be a sitting duck all game long.
Yep. It's fun to see how the barriers will work out. I think it was today actually that I saw the barriers being flexed top lane in the LEC, so could be a pick that can be played up there. Could be fun if it actually works out. I do not think DME is going to try and pull it off in their elimination much, but it could be interesting if it actually ends up going there. Yeah, it could go there. It would be an interesting way to go out, or to actually fight back if they are able to pull it off. And the Jhin, no surprises there. Strong AD carry, really effective in the bot lane to try and clean out the waves, and has a lot of bot lane pairings that are really effective. I'm expecting to see, okay, I was expecting to see a negate support, but Bard kind of technically works in that way as well.
Yeah, it's been one of Al Calamity's better supports. Didn't really have the greatest game of it in the OQs over the weekend, but has been a really good Bard. It's a good pairing with Jhin. You can kind of leave him alone at times, and you're able to really start tagging people up with the Deadly Flourish, get some roots down, and start getting some kills. Deathmark Napoleon on the other side, they're going to elect to go ahead and pick their support now so it doesn't get banned in the second half. They're going to go with the Karma. No real big surprises out of that bot lane, especially since the Nico was banned.
Exactly. Karma, Xin Zhao makes a lot of sense if they go for the rotation here, especially Xin with a Karma getting the buff so that the Xin can be more aggressive, more fearless about how he wants to front a lot of the fights, and also having the extra poking value down there in the bot side is going to really make a big impact in how the enemy can try and play the game. As for remaining junglers, with both Trundle, Wukong, Xin Zhao, and the Pantheon out, Bai looks to be potentially a good option, point and click ultimate to try and reach the backline onto the barriers and be able to get on top of him. Like you were mentioning, the Jarvan as well was looking really strong with the Cataclysm potentially getting on top of the barriers as well. And Jax here, it's a flex potential pick. It can be played top lane or jungle. I'm expecting it to go more top lane, but I'm surprised that they are going to blind pick it here, not trying to secure their jungler instead of getting some of the options banned away in this rotation by DME, potentially.
Well, I think what it does is it will free up Season in the second half of bans, because now you're unsure. Are you banning top laners? Are you banning junglers? Because Jax has a good matchup in the Xin Zhao, so would not be surprised if they elect to stay there. But if you see a favorable matchup in the top side, because you are going to have R5, that works out too. So maintaining this flex can be really, really important to keep some of these bans off the table and let Season play his comfort champions that he's so good at.
Yeah, exactly. Like this, there's options here that they can try and go for, as they are banning still separate champions in the mid lane. So Orianna and Syndra out. The Seraphine, like you were mentioning before, also looks to be potentially out here, plus the Gwen. So a lot of options already taking away in from both sides in terms of the mid lane pool, and it does mean that you have to try and go a little bit deeper. Maybe as their big three are probably not going to be deep, but there are still options that you can opt into. And the Zoe could also be a choice here. The only problem that I see with the choice, that way, if they do opt into something like a Zoe, is that there's not going to be enough consistent damage. It's going to be really burst focus.
Yeah, but it looks like they'll go for the Zoe anyway.
Yep.
Hey, listen, you don't have to actually one-shot people, because if you tag them with your paddle star, Jhin can follow up with the root. You tag them with a sleepy trouble bubble, then Jhin can tag them with the root anyway. So I think this is a really solid pick coming out on R4. They had to ban the Gwen to leave that door open because Deathmark Napoleon wanted to play a tank in the top lane. It looks like that's what they're going to go with, whether it's Cassante, whether it's Ornn. It will be Cassante, and now Sin Eternal Season has their pick of the litter if they want to decide to pick a jungler or a top laner after Deathmark Napoleon's mid laner Sir Zipri goes with his final pick here.
It was looking likely to be the TF, but the Talia here, not necessarily a choice, pretty telegraphed what you're opting into. I'm just going to wait and see. I'm not going to say anything at all. The Cassante, though, I don't think it's a bad matchup against the Jax. Can be played really effectively into it. You're not going to be essentially suffering as much because you're going to be pretty much going for it. It is going to be a Kayle. So is this a Kayle top and a Cassante mid, or is this a Kayle mid lane against the Zoe? That's the real question mark here.
I have no idea, bro. I got to be honest with you. I have
remember the last time
no earthly idea what's going to go on here. Are we going to pick Kha'Zix into a Cassante and a Kayle? Certainly not. Okay, cool. Well, I'm getting baited by everything now because of what just happened over on the side of Deathmark Napoleon. So Olaf is going to get locked in. It's going to be so hard to stop this guy. You do not have the tools to stop this Olaf. TDS, is this an Olaf top or an Olaf jungle?
I was thinking the same. I think this could be so if it's a Cassante, I think you can just send the Olaf top. Yeah, like it's fine either way, but I think the Olaf top lane here against the Cassante, not a bad matchup. You get your access to run him down. You get a lot of the percentage damage. It's really difficult to put a stop on top of him. The only thing that probably is scary is having to face against the Xin Zhao as well. But overall, I think both matchups work out pretty nicely for the Olaf and the Jax. I don't think either of them are going to be bad for them. And then the real question mark is where the Kayle is going to end up going, right? Because if it's a Kayle in the mid lane, how aggressive can you be against the Zoe? Like, it just feels like one sleepy trouble bubble into a paddle star, you're out of the lane. Guess what? You cannot play the game anymore. Like, it just feels like it's going to be really counterproductive.
Yeah, and especially being in mid lane just means it opens you up for more ganks, right? I think that's a big reason why we don't often see champions like the Kayle in the mid lane, because it's just easier to exploit when you're in mid lane and you can get ganked from the top side or from the bottom side. Obviously, being in the top lane means that you can only get ganked from a certain amount of paths, but with a Bard on the other team, they can come from damn near anywhere, TDS, especially if it's a Jax in the jungle. Like, you have plenty of CC to be able to kill a Kayle pre-6.
Yeah, there's a lot of tools to be able to pull it off. And even post 6, the margin of time that you have your ultimate available is not the biggest. Like, you still need time for it to be actually effective. And one of the biggest things that I do like from Season's composition, now that the Kayle did come through, so hindsight is always going to be great here, they have a lot of range. Like Bard range, Zoe range, Jean range. Olaf and Jax are two champions that do need to get on top of you, but they're not going to be the ones killing the Kayle. Or maybe Olaf, but not necessarily Jax. It's going to be the long-range Zoe, the long-range Jean, even the Bard stunning from a long range. And the only one really to get in front of you is the K'Sante and the Xin Zhao, but they don't want to get slapped or controlled either, because they can just get completely demolished by the Olaf running in their faces. So it's going to be a situation where I think Season's composition just naturally got to a point where Kayle is not going to be really happy in a long part of the game, and then when she actually gets strong, there's a lot of tools still to be able to deal with her.
Without a doubt, TDS, lots of CC coming out from everybody except for Olaf. So this could be very, very difficult for them to deal with, as I have no idea still where this Kayle is going. We haven't gotten any extra information on where this Kayle is going. All right, TDS, if this Kayle goes top lane, what are your assignments here if you're SYN Eternal Season?
It's kind of difficult to say here. Like, I think there's a better matchup if you just send the Kayle against. I guess it's mid. So it's mid. So I was thinking it's probably a better matchup if you just send the Kayle against the Zoe for Season, I mean, because Zoe will always have the range advantage and you can just poke her out so frequently. So if that's the case, you probably want to play the Zoe a lot. But in the same vein, I'm thinking Sir Separate picked the Kayle with the purpose of going against the Zoe. So maybe he just knows something about these matchups that I don't. Like, it's not a matchup I think I've seen frequently enough, if at all, to be able to call it out.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like he's played at bot lane a little bit. He's played at mid lane too. Has had some success in matchups that aren't really super interactive. You know, he's had a win over like an Orianna, which he just kind of chill out and hang out. Obviously, Zoe can do a little bit more. But really, gambiting the rest of Deathmark Napoleon's season on this Kayle, I mean, the stones it takes, TDS, to know that you are one loss away from your ACL season being over, your playoff run done, and you say, backs against the wall, give me Kayle coming in as a sub, is probably one of the boldest things I've ever seen. And I want it to work out. I really do. I think it would be a really creative win. And you know, I always like seeing champions that we don't normally see pop into competitive play every now and again.
Yeah, it would be really great if that ends up working out like that, but most of the times there's a reason why it doesn't work out that effectively, and I don't think it's only because they are weak. It's also because there's factors apart from them, like the enemy champions, that end up mattering in that. And if Search can pull it off, full props to him, because I have very little hope about the Kayle. But it was, once again, picked into the Zoe, or knowingly into the Zoe, because it doesn't seem like Tommy was the one that wanted to go Kayle at all. So if that's the case, Separate probably knows a lot more about this matchup and knows a lot more about how this matchup is supposed to work and how he's supposed to win.
Just taking a look at the history of Kayle, and you know, the champion is not picked very often at all. I think the last pro league it was played in was the LJL in 2024. It's seen its fair share of picks in 2025, mostly in tier 2 and below, mostly below that. LRN Split 2 promotion actually had it a couple months ago come through, so that's neat. That's really cool.
Yeah, there's like moments where the champion has been picked that it may have worked out. I do not think it's going to be one of those. But
Actually, it was picked by Q, who is Fusion's mid laner, and they did not qualify. They just fell to Odd Esports 3-1 in the finals for qualification to split 2 of the LRN. So that's really cool that they got that close against, like, you know, to maybe play against teams like SDM Tigres and Lion Academy and Estral.
Yeah.
But,
which by the way,
that's so like these are like legitimately good wins.
Yeah, maybe it actually just has more value there. Also, by the way, just quickly, now that you brought the LRN, I just want to mention ex-ACL player, because that's really much more important than any other thing that Winsome has done, obviously, has lost the grand finals against SDM Tigres. They just got 3-0'd. I just wanted to bring that up because I thought it was kind of funny. After all that the roster was touted as, they just got 3-0'd. But yeah, if this matchup has worked, I'll try and believe in Separate, and maybe he can pull it off and shut me up.
You know, CDS, just going to your tweet that I literally just saw and what you just talked about. Super teams don't just never work, man. Imagine if you could go back in time 10 years and convince organizations that super teams do not work. How different do you think the League of Legends landscape would be?
I kind of feel like it would have been boring, don't you think? Because like the fun part, one of the fun parts that I always see about super teams is how much they fall after being touted as the best. Because like it is kind of a fun experiment, and it also kind of brings teams that nobody ever expected to be better, or to be better seen for by others. So I kind of feel like super teams are a needed evil in esports in a way.
You know, I think you're right about that. I just think it's the wrong way to go about things. We've really seen that with a lot of super teams failing at the pro level, at tier 2. You know, even tier 3 super teams will sometimes fall apart. Too many cooks in the kitchen type deal. These teams don't really seem to have that sort of problem, TDS. As we head on to Summoner's Rift, could be Deathmark Napoleon's final game of the ACL season.
Well, potential final game, right? We don't know if they win or not here, but
it could be.
We'll just wait and see how it works out. We'll wait and see how this lanes are going to end up working out, and if it's going to be much better for DME or for Season this game. That being said, this Zoe pick is one of Season of Leaf's primary pick. Like, this is something he loves to play, he really wanted to play, and he's getting to play now.
He wants to be known as a Zoe on the level of Samikin, something that he talked about a little bit when I got to talk to him about a week or so ago. And maybe even longer at that point, probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago at this point. But he wants to have that level of Zoe, and you know, he's been working at it. Again, it's not his primary champion or anything like that. He's, you know, a really phenomenal Lux, plays the Mel really well. This is an opportunity for him to come up and show off this Zoe that he's been practicing so much to be like the mid laner he looks up to.
Which is kind of funny, considering that I don't think they are that there's that big of a difference in age between the two of them. But it makes sense. Samikin one step closer to being able to get to the promotion tournament. Why wouldn't you want to be a fan of him at this point?
Yeah, the great young North American mid laner that, you know, does have a lot of promise, and we hope that Season of Leaves elects to do the same. He's already said that he's kind of soured on doing this professionally due to the fact that he's not able to play at OQs. I hope that he ends up changing his mind, and I hope that he sees a lot of success in the ACL, because I feel like that could spur him to change his mind as he gets older and he becomes of age and eligible to play in some of these higher end tournaments.
Still one of the dumber rules that I've seen applied here, but certainly, hopefully,
we're not going to talk about that.
Case. Yeah, we just hope to see him soon enough being able to play in these tournaments. But in the meanwhile, he can play in the ACL, the clearly superior tournament, and that way show up as much as possible. As we see a lot of trading, but nothing really in terms of, oh wait, already a fight here.
Yeah, Munchie showing up here, looking to find that stun on a Verdict, as now they're stuck in a 1v1, but that's quickly going to turn. Big root with the shields, the heals, the flash forced out. Oh wait, Alcalamity's getting re-engaged on Ignite on the Verdict. Verdict went too far. He's dead. Pew Pew stuck between 3 members. They're going to turn on Calamity, take him out. Pew Pew forced the away, but Munchie wants to chase him down. Helicopter
has no flash now.
Strike is going to get there, but he takes the blast play, and Munchie can't get him.
Munchie had no flash at that position. I'm not sure why, but there was this light moment where Munchie was stuck or wasn't able to move down there in the bot side, so he wasn't able to follow up quickly onto Preview. And even though they get a really good kill early on to get the kill onto Verdict, it's both supports actually getting the kills on both sides. So the advantage realistically is not really that high for either side. It is a lot of flashes down though, and Pew Pew without flash, maybe it could be an opportunity for Season to try and get a lot more down there in the bot side.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, although, you know, there's no kills that went to the supports, I think no kills that went to any of the carries. I think the biggest beneficiary of this is Season, because that means there's less action in this mid lane that he is really dominating right now. He's up 10 CS. Yeah. He's an auto attack away from taking a plate at 4 minutes and 30 seconds into the game as a Zoe. That's pretty insane.
I kind of feel like that's how the matchup should probably be looking like against the Gale, but certainly getting all that gold, getting all that value, probably at this point going to be the most ideal part out of it. Now, what can you get with that value is going to be the next question for Seasoning in this position, as doubling 101. No ghost.
Yep. He's dead. He pushed up a little bit too far, did not respect that Verdict could show up and would show up after just clearing out that bottom side. The bot lane out, Calamity going to take his lumps, and so is Admirable Potato, but not a whole lot of damage. Is Munchie looking for Verdict, but Verdict, Wind Becomes Lightning's over the wall to go after his Grump.
Really funny way to escape there, but he probably is going to lose the Grump there either way, because Munchie is on top of the Grump right now and will deal more damage to it, as Calamity taking a little bit more damage there. Also important to notice,
what is going on in this game, TDS? As Munchie is now getting turned on, Season has no mana, and it's not going to be able to get there in time. The feat of Warfare goes to Deathmark Napoleon.
Oh, that's a big int by Munchie there. Like, I understand. I understand wanting to try and get on top of the Xin Zhao as much as possible and make his life a living hell, but that does not mean giving up a kill to the mid laner that was suffering so heavily in the mid lane. Like, Separate was in a really bad spot, but out of nowhere now, he got level 6, he got blue buff, he got a kill, so he kind of just played around that really comfortably, and he doesn't need to do anything more. It's now on Season once again to try and get to a point where he can just keep on bullying the mid laner on the side of DME, but it's such a questionable play by Munchie in that position, and it makes it so that the lead for the side of DME is much bigger.
Yeah, and Munchie is now a full level behind, just getting far too aggressive, trying to shut down Verdict, and hasn't really been able to do so, and that puts so much weight on the shoulders of Season, on the shoulders of Daption, right, who is just playing Jhin, not a champion that is known for taking over early games. And Deathmark Napoleon once again with another good start, this time with Kayle scaling. I'd be worried if I was Sin Eternal Season.
Yeah, when you have a super scaling champion like this, you have to be worried about every moment of the game, because you know that it can just be enough for them to be able to go over the line. It is still a little bit early, and technically speaking, there was a champion like that in the previous game in the form of the Jinx, but I'm sure that having the scale here probably will work out a little bit better than that. Also, just wanted to quickly mention, PvP is going the Poke Barrage route, which is not necessarily bad, but it has been seeing less playtime since it did get hit in the previous patch. So going to be interesting seeing how much value it's going to net the side of DME, and also if it's not going to turn into lacking a little bit of damage later on in the game as well.
Yeah, it's not going to do a whole lot to this Olaf, to this Jax, but if you hit the squishy targets, you're going to be dealing good damage even after the nerfs. It is just going to be so hard to try to avoid a Olaf who might be trying to run you down, but they've done well to set behind this Olaf early, as Tommy has control of this top side. For how long, not entirely sure, but given the fact that he's got a Bramble Vest, it is making life hard for top lane 101. Let's talk objective CDS. Dragon available on the bot side. It is a mountain dragon. We're going to see grubs coming up very shortly. I think that giving the grubs over to Sin Eternal Season would be very, very bad. And Olaf and Ajax can utilize these so well.
Yeah, the split pushing potential would be really, really good on the side of Season if they get it. I think Kale actually getting it as well wouldn't be a bad thing, just because you do get really good push with your into the turret, and that way you can try and kill a couple of the targets. As Tommy jumping in, maybe, yeah, he's probably fine here, just taking a little bit more damage, and that's it.
Nope, he's all right. A couple of words have expired. His Admirable Potato has been a real nuisance to Al Calamity so far. Has really shadowed him the entire game and has prevented Al Calamity from doing a whole lot of anything. We're going to see a Ragnarok get used here, but the all-out as well. Ghost coming out from this Olaf, flashing after him. The shields, it's not going to be enough. Top lane 101 has to cut and run. He can't dodge the knock-up, and Tommy gets the kill. Munchie looking for a follow-up here. Will be able to land the stun, but Tommy doesn't have the resistances to be able to survive. Munchie will get his kill. Here's a curtain call in the bot lane. Big stun coming through. Pew Pew couldn't flash the third shot and dies in the fourth, but a new challenger approaches. Verdict will clean up the kill in the bot lane.
Yeah, there's multiple people just moving around all the way in the map, trying to be the heroes for their own plays, and there's a lot of trading going on. Top lane 101 dying to Tommy, then the bot lane Pew Pew dying as well, but they traded 1-for-1 in a lot of those situations. So all in all, not necessarily a bad trade for either side. The main thing though here is Dabshan getting that first kill, going to be really ideal to start putting a little bit more pressure onto the Jhin, and then Tommy being able to get that kill, counter kill onto top lane 101 means that the Olaf is not going to have the impact that you were expecting him to have at all. Like, he should be running this top lane, but now that he's 2 kills down, going to be really far behind in terms of damage as well, it just means that he's just not going to have the same level of impact that you were expecting at all.
No, he's going to be a black hole this game where you're going to have to feed him resources and keep him safe. So that'll either allow Tommy to be able to move around and take 5v4s, or just keep him up there, right? And you're just to lose so much power that you expected to have with this Olaf. And you know, if you look pound for pound with the rest of the champions outside of the top lane, I gotta say I favor Deathmark Napoleon, especially for the position that they're currently in. A couple moments ago, Dragon went over to Deathmark Napoleon. They're getting their first. We're now starting to see a move to Grubs here for Munchie. Top lane 101 has decided that this is now the time to fight, but he is losing more HP than he is actually dealing. Munchie the monster heading up here to help him out. Tommy getting stunned, going unstoppable, but does get stopped. A good gank there from the Eternal Season jungler. And speaking of ganks, Season of Leaves could be in a little bit of trouble. Calamity here trying to save him. He's got to flash away. Season of Leaves will live. The Drowsy, the stuns. Z3's dead. Potato going to be the next target, but I don't know if they have the CC. He'll be able to flash away. Now looking for a turnaround to keep him under the turret. Roots there, but he is able to walk out. A great turnaround from Sin Eternal Season.
That is a... Oh, wait. Maybe
he's Drowsy. Do they have it? Here's the Paddle Storm. Bang! Yep. Season of Leaves, his first kill of the game.
Bubble to the face, Giger's dead at that point, and that play 100% saved by Al Calamity. Such a perfect ultimate timing onto the Zoe and onto the Kale, so that the Zoe can escape, because the Kale is the one that gets hit, and because of that, Season is just able to run away in such an effective manner as Dabshan.
Pew Pew is very dead. He's slowed. The Q, one more auto will be able to kill him. Dabshan 2-0-1, and TDS once again. It's Deathmark Napoleon with a lead and a cascade of errors that puts them behind. Yeah, they may have been ahead for a little bit, but that lead just didn't last long enough, and it's Season just making better plays to try and turn around the situation, starting with what happened top lane, being able to kill Tommy a couple of times, then being able to move that into the mid lane. Really huge factor playing. That is a lot of damage. Playing for Season, saving his life, because that could have been a really make or break sort of play in the mid lane that, with that in mind, could have really turned around this game for the side of DME much better. There's the Sleepy Trouble bubble on the Kale. Season has the sight set, but the rune is going to go down. This Kale is in trouble. First shot misses. Second shot lands flush. Another big play from Eternal Season. 2 kills.
Yeah, they're just getting poked into dying so quickly, and Burdick is not able. Oh wait, a potato.
Oh, potato.
Actually,
oh, hold on. Yeah, they may have missed time. Oh, my goodness. Holy moly. That damage was nuts.
yeah, I guess when you have enough damage, it doesn't really matter.
True.
And just like that, they are now running with the game so effortlessly. 3k gold out of just those few plays, and now maybe a little bit more as Tommy takes a turret shot.
Turret shot. Yeah,
Oh,
I don't think that
actually.
Wait, no, the turnaround, the shield. Is it going to be enough?
Wait,
He misses
yes.
the first axe. He picks it back up. Can he hit him again? No. Tommy with the side steps. Top lane 101, unable to get his 1v1.
Yeah, the axe not enough to connect there, but that was close. That was actually really close for how it could have turned around, as another
Nice
bubble
dodge from
doesn't
Z3.
connect.
Yep.
Yeah, those bubbles really are the difference in that matchup when you look at it, because if you walk forward as the Kale and the bubble doesn't connect, you can actually get the kill. You can actually just threaten the kill onto the Zoe in that position. And Season of Leaves, understanding that, just going to reset, not going to try and fight it out. Munchie though,
Tommy!
oh Tommy, no!
Tommy, you let him TP in front of you.
Oh, that's so unlucky by Tommy. That's going to be a tilter.
You can't have that in a playoff match. You can't do that in a playoff match where you're down 1-0. You don't have any more games left to give. If you lose this one, you're done. You can't be making mental errors like that, TDS.
Yeah, it's the sort of thing that really makes or breaks a playoff run, and also like can be the difference maker for what your team wants to accomplish and what they are able to accomplish at the end. Not saying that that's something that Tommy will do more frequently, but really,
yeah, that Temper Fate didn't do a damn thing. Verdict is well protected from his ultimate in the K1, but now he's sleepy. That shield's gone. He's still alive. He'll come in to get the heal, but Al Calamity will clean him up as Season of Leaves continues to dominate. Turret going down on the top side is now top lane 101 is taking Tommy to school. Hasn't had too many issues ever since receiving some help. He's up in CS right now. He's got items can be a little bit even this season. Looking to really put Zerzipri out of the game. Well, Tommy all out on the top lane 101. Top lane 101 doesn't have any summoners, though. He doesn't have his ultimate left either, so he's got to try to survive somehow. But Tommy not able to land the knock-up. He doesn't have that third Q, so he's able to walk away.
Not enough to find the kill in that position, and it's just unlucky after unlucky there for the side of DME. They're just getting outplayed in a lot of those situations by Season. Also, I'm not sure if you noticed, but actually there was, because of how the animation now looks, there was first the ultimate by the Xinjiao, which looked like a KO ultimate, and then after he got the KO ultimate. But because it looked so similar, it looked like it lasted for like a minute.
Yeah, it's I'm not gonna lie, I thought the new Zin ultimate was cool, but now seeing it in a game with Kale, I wonder why we made them look so similar.
It's such a one-in-a-million situation, but at the same time, like, I don't understand why make it like that, right? It doesn't feel like it makes a lot of sense. Like it was before, it made more sense.
You know how crazy this game's been, TDS? Verdict just hit level 10. Munchie's been level 11 for a little bit of time now.
Yeah.
Remember when Munchie was down a full level? Now he is up a full level. Otacon hasn't even spawned yet. So that's just how dominating Munchie has been and how active on the map he's been since the early eras. Top lane 101 going to eat another turret as he is a menace on the side lanes that is hard to stop.
It's really difficult to put a stop to him, and a lot of that just comes from the fact that he doesn't really care about fighting. He sees the turret, he pushes the turret, and then gets out of the way from any sort of fighting or anything like that. And I also wanted to mention, like, Munchie was down in CS, he died to Zerzipri, and he still is able to come back really effectively. Speaking of Zerzipri though, level 11 now, so has the ascended Kale power, still a little bit far away from being level 16, but at the very least already playing with the PP's
goodbye.
Oh, wait.
Hold on, he's got the sidestep. The first shot is gonna miss. Dabshin had messed up there. Now the walls are starting to close in. Verdict is looking to make a play. Dabshin is forced to flash away, but Munchie is so strong. He's still alive. He's forced to flash away as the Kale ultimate goes down. The route onto Verdict, and it doesn't look like Deathmark Napoleon can get anything off this play.
it's not looking like they are going to find anything. And in the meanwhile, you have SYN pushing top lane, and then you have the Olaf pushing bot lane. They have more control over the map, and they are turning that into more gold. Yes, the fight may not have gone their way, or they may have not found the kill they were looking for, but at the end, they are still finding a lot of value. And Herald just now spawning, getting the Herald as it spawns. It's such a moment for them that you know that they are so far ahead at this point of the game on the side of SYN.
Yeah, it's a 8,000 gold lead TDS that only got bigger after that play that just didn't work out. They still went up more gold because SYN was able to split push and get that turret. He's played a pretty masterful game so far, over 10 CS a minute. 104 hasn't been super impressive on the kill numbers, but his damage and his presence has been felt. It's a game that Samikin would be proud of. 18 and a half minutes. Otacon the next yeah, Otacon and Dragon going to spawn at about the same time, actually. So I wonder if this is where SYN is going to end the season of Deathmark Napoleon.
It very well may be, as they are looking for top lane 101 here. Fighting starts, but there's multiple members coming here.
Okay. Yeah, he's fighting this one out, but Verdict is going to get shoved away. Big Root coming down as Tommy is stuck. Tommy is dead. Top lane 101 gets his third. Here comes the curtain call just to get the slow out. Admirable Potato, it's tagged once, not twice, not even a third time. Good avoidance there of the Tempered Fate. Out Calamity and Munchie, though, are still so damn healthy. And the Crescent Guard doesn't help when you're already in melee range. That Redemption got dropped. Munchie has to back off, taking some damage out on the backside here, but Pew Pew doesn't do a damn thing right now.
Yeah, they are just so strong at this point, and like you're mentioning, Pew Pew barely dealing any damage to Munchie or Calamity. It just feels like they are waiting for them to just find once again the opportunities with their cooldowns and then look for another play here. They are pushing mid lane, they are pushing bot lane, they even are going to try and push top lane eventually with the Olaf pushing up there, but it's just so much better control, so much more control in favor of SYN, and also just being farther ahead, close to a 10k gold lead before 20 minutes.
Yeah, it was another 1,000 gold play there to put him up about 9k TDSs. I think it might be all over but the crying. Otacon spawning. It's up in the top side of this game, so at least they'll be on the opposite sides of the map here. We can see top lane 101 immediately heading up to it. It looks like he'll take a recall, so Eternal Season, they probably know that Otacon has been an objective that a lot of teams at higher levels of play have thrown at, and they might want to avoid that.
I probably think that neither side should really try and focus the Attica. Instead, the Dragon looking a little bit more juicy, but everyone is on the side of SYN up there in the top side.
Oh no!
Verdict!
Oh, Verdict getting just CC'd to death. He's dead. He's dead. He can't go anywhere. They take him down. Oh no, another stun, another paddle star. Admirable Potato to shield. He's still gonna stay alive, but I mean, this is just so difficult for them to stun, asleep, snared. Every single status SYN Eternal Season has it.
And that's the tank that took all that damage and almost went down. It's the K'Sante that, yes, he may be built for armor, but you still would expect him to survive a little bit more. That is so much damage that they just dealt, and it's going to be now Herald pushing into the base. They're going to go for another inhibitor turret.
Where is this coming from? We're seeing Bard. Hold on, where did Al Calamity go there with the Heralds?
Bot side.
The Herald is want to kill dead. I mean, oh, yeah. No. All right, we have other fights going on here. As Zephyr actually gets a kill on the 2v1. Meanwhile, Tommy on the backside looking to take out Daption, and he does. But Munchie is a monster, living up to his name. Flash away means that Varus is out of there. SYN in a little bit of trouble, starting to run out of space. But Munchie the monster is there to save his boy and keep him upright. They're going to turn on to Admirable Potato, and all right, Paddle Star not quite landing. Teleport coming in from Sir Zephyr, but a flash helicopter stun gets it done. The counter strike for Munchie. Zephyr moving around here. SYN heals to keep himself alive on a sliver, and that may have been the last gasp for Deathmark Napoleon.
Everyone just dying left and right. They are coming back up, but they are probably going to die eventually. And it's a turret down in the top side, a turret down in the bot side. A lot of deaths in favor of SYN, and they may be looking here for Dragon, but it really feels just like a placebo objective at this point. They don't need the Dragon at all to try and close out this game.
Yeah, you're right, TDS. You can just march in and get it done here. The top inhibitor is exposed right now. but somehow Deathmark Napoleon still in this game, if only in spirit. They are down 11k gold, 22 minutes in TDS. Season of Leaves has this Rabadon's death cap. He thought he did damage before. Just wait till you see the next Paddle Star.
Yeah, that bubble hits like a truck as, oh, another bubble.
There's the bubble. Doesn't actually land on anybody. Verdict will go down. Here comes a curtain call as the trouble bubble manages to hit the Cassante. He does go unstoppable to be able to buffer the sleep. But it is a 5v4. Now we're seeing top lane 1-1. TP up top to deal with the Kale. Terra gonna get hit with the Tempered Fate here to just get the rest of these minions in, and the siege will begin.
I think it's going to end already because they are going to take down this turret really, really soon, as there is no more minions, so it's going to take just a little bit longer here. Oh, Season.
They're dead.
Yeah,
Season got shut down. The kill does go to Admirable Potato, though, as the team seemed a bit split on the call, TDS. And now Zepri looking to kill Al Calamity here. He's forced to flash away. Zepri getting engaged on by everybody, but he's got that KO ultimate to keep himself alive for a little bit longer. He takes so much damage, and he'll fall to Damtion. Tommy trying to do what he can, but Munchie is just unstoppable. He's healing. He's healing through everything. Look at the heals. He's still alive. It doesn't matter what Deathmark Napoleon have to throw at him, because he's gonna run right through it. Ace for SYN Eternal Season.
That was such a big shutdown they got off of Season, but then out of nowhere they were fighting it out, and Zepri looked like maybe he could survive for a little bit longer. Not the case. Munchie arrives. He really is a monster, and they turn around that fight. It's probably going to be Atakan this point, going to take a little bit longer, but it's going to be another objective in favor of Season. Only one objective has, actually no, the Grubs as well. So the Grubs and the Dragon going in favor of DME are really the only things that are holding them together in this game, because everything else is just much more in favor of Season.
Who'd have thought that Munchie was going to have a game like this after the start that he had? It was a really rough early game. Again, was down a full level, is now up 3 levels, 9-1-9. He has completely shut down Verdict. It is a counter pick. We did talk about that, but Verdict had that early advantage after these miscues. Good on Eternal Season and Munchie to recover and play well and bounce back, and now with the Zoni's Hourglass in the back pocket, it feels like Munchie is going to be unkillable. Zepri stuck in a 3v1. He's got to pop his ultimate, but really there's just nothing for him to do, as that Paddle Star is going to land a 4th kill for Season.
That's such a sad death when you know that there's no way for them to actually save it.
Oh no,
they get stunned.
Oh, Potato. Oh no, he's dead.
So
they're too many Baron. They're just too many Baron.
They have the Munchie that is really, really strong at this point. Then you have Damtion that, even though he's not taking that really quickly, it's still a Jin. 4th shot actually deals quite a bit of damage in this situation. And there's no way to stop it, because you're more than 10k gold behind at this point in the game.
The question is, CDS, can they get to 20k? They're up 16, about 15 right now. There's only 4 structures left. They're going to have to get a lot of kills in order to get to 20k. Maybe looking to set a personal record here.
Maybe here's the first one.
Yeah, there's one. There's a little bit of gold going into the pockets. I think you're going to need a little bit more than that, as the siege is on here in the mid lane with the Baroned up minions. Tommy going to be the next target. He will get rooted after going unstoppable. Now the Ragnarok going to get popped here by this all-off Season Leaves coming in from the side. There's the Drowsy. Paddle Star from downtown will be able to get the kill. And here comes a 4th shot coming out here. Potato taking a big chunk of HP. Another Paddle Star coming from downtown. Top lane 101 gets that kill as they wipe him away. It's going to be close, TDS.
It's really close.
There's another turret that's going to go down. That'll put him at 60k. All right, they need to make up 2k. I just don't think they're going to be able to do it at this point, unless they want to really extend the game. That is an ace. It was close. That's what? 18.7k, so almost 19k. After again a rough early start, a real domination coming through from SYN Eternal Season.
Yeah, it really felt competitive until like the 4th or 5th minute mark, where you now see them turning around a lot of those situations in favor of SYN. And even though they were good early plays, like we saw that kill that happened top side to kill top lane 101 really early on and give Tommy the advantage. Then in the mid lane, the Separate got a first blood really early on, and also shutting down the Jacks because they were forcing too much onto the Xin Zhao. But then after a certain point, it just snowballed out of control. The bubbles were connecting for the mid lane, the kills were happening for bot side, the Olaf was Olafing in the top side, so it just felt like everything was working out how it should. And I kind of go back to that one fight we had in the mid lane where Al Calamity saved the life from Zoe, because I feel like if that goes the other way, the game looks completely different.
Without a doubt, TDS, and a really good game played by a lot of the members here of SYN Eternal Season. TDS, my MVP for this game has to be Munchie, right? Yes, he put himself behind, did not do himself any favors early on, but came back and, again, as you said, lived up to his name, was an absolute monster. This dude dominated. You agree?
Yeah, I feel like it's completely fair. Really, from early on to the end of the game, he was consistently like jumping on top of people, trying to make the life from Bear take the living hell, then just making plays happen so that the team can come back really effectively, and was in the right place at the right time for a lot of the part of the game. So I just feel like it's completely fair to really give it to Manchi.
And that means that SYN Eternal Season will be moving on. Deathmark Napoleon's run does end here, and they will play the winner of Lotus versus Milk Esports, which is going on over on the Salt Mine, with Milk Esports leading 1-0. And before we go and hopefully raid the Salt Mine, we must tell you once again about Zen Market, your one-stop solution for buying products directly from Japan. They'll help you buy items from over 10,000 shops in Japan. I guess that means 10,001 at the very least, as well as place some bids on auctions on your behalf. They'll even consolidate all of your items safely into one box and can ship internationally. They provide excellent customer service in 19 different languages, which is why Zen Market is trusted by over 2 million users worldwide. Check out the panel below the stream or click the link in the chat. Try them out now. If you sign up with promo code Aegis, you'll get 1,000 yen off your first international shipping fee. And if you decide to make a purchase using code Aegis25, you'll get 25% off your first purchase. I know that I'm going to take advantage of that because I need more trinkets than just Gwen on the side of my desk. I need some trinkets from Japan. Zen Market has also leveled up the fan experience by giving one of you a chance to take home a Nintendo 64. Yes, the nostalgic console that everybody loves, with the original Super Smash Brothers and Pokemon Stadium 1 and 2. I don't know if that's going to be included, but you could get those games if you had a Nintendo 64. Exclamation point giveaway. You can, in the chat, will get you an entry for potentially winning a Nintendo 64. That's going to do it for myself and TDS here. We hope to see you over on the Salt Mine, where we will drop into Lotus versus Milk Esports.
Bro, just use Zen Market.